This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Hey y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this
is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody Happy Hour.
Hey y'all, this is April.
And this is Cassandra. I mean Caroline. But it's gonna be Cassandra halfway through the episode, I promise.
This is Bloody Happy Hour.
This is Bloody Happy Hour. This is where we talk about murder. Because obviously, what else do people talk about?
Yep, we have our drinks and, we try to make the murder not so sad.
Yeah.
So if you do not have a little bit of humor.
If you have zero sense of humor, this is not the podcast for you.
Yep, go
If you take life
somewhere
too
else.
seriously, this is not the podcast for you.
Go somewhere else.
If you are real rigid and you don't like cuss words or anything about sex or anything that's raunchy and ratchet and inappropriate, it's not the podcast for you.
Yeah.
We love you. Come back later, but until you're ready.
Yeah.
It's fine. We're not offended.
Yeah.
Leave us a good review. Thanks.
Or a bad one.
Bad ones are good too. We love the bad ones.
They all help.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today?
Okay,
Where
we're
are we
talking
going?
about Stephanie Lazarus and Sherry Rasmussen.
Nope, don't know the names.
Yeah, no.
Good.
You wouldn't. I didn't know either until I found it. So, we're going to California. And we have a nice little interrogation video for you coming up. So,
Nice.
get ready. So, Sherry Rasmussen was found murdered in her home in 1986. It seemed to have been a robbery gone wrong.
But nothing was taken.
But after the initial investigation, it just kind of dissipated into the ether and nothing happened and it took 20 years.
Oh.
It went cold for 20 years.
20 whole years.
So this is like a love triangle / crazy cop / somebody's basically coming back from the dead because he didn't really come back from the dead, but the case came back from the dead.
Okay.
So John was born in 1959. He went to UCLA in 1978. He studied mechanical engineering, and that's where he met this lovely little gem, Stephanie Lazarus.
Like from the Bible that was raised from the dead.
Lazarus.
Yes.
Oh, that is Lazarus. She was studying she was studying political science. And they started dating, but they weren't really like dating. They were just basically like friends with benefits. Because there's some red flags.
That's not one.
No. One of them was like, she would like to take pictures of him naked while he was asleep.
That's a red flag.
I
It's a little
mean,
weird.
I thought it was pretty normal.
No. Did he know?
No.
That's a red flag.
As long as she didn't distribute them, it's not illegal, right? I mean, it's not. I'm not saying I
without the
do
consent.
it. Exactly. She's totally normal at this point. So this went on for a few years. They basically were hooking up for a while they were in college, and
Wait, who's she hooking up with? I forgot.
John. The guy's name is John.
Okay.
Think of Dirty John.
Okay.
And Heffany. We'll call her Heffany and John. Dirty John and Heffany. So a few years go by, they graduate, they move on. He gets a job with some manufacturing company and she moves on and she joins the LAPD.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
She's going to be the crooked cop.
She got her badge in 1983. So then in June of 1984, John met Sherry Rasmussen.
Okay.
Sherry, she was the director of nursing at Glendale Activist Medical Center. I mean, she's
That's
just like,
the red flag.
you know, them nurses be red flags. Yeah, that's right. So as time went on, their relationship started to get a little bit more serious. But Stephanie Heffany, would you maybe call me? They call me Heffany. What's that song? Yeah.
They call her Stephanie.
I call her Heffany. So Heffany had not forgotten about old dear John. Like, she still like had him in her mind at all times.
She's still looking at those naked pictures every night before she goes to bed.
It had been 2 years since they dated, and she was still.
Oh, John. What's John working with?
Yes. So even in this same year, 1984, Heffany, threw a surprise birthday party for John. They have not even dated. She doesn't even know.
Did she invite him?
She didn't even know that he was seeing somebody at the time. And so it was like his 25th birthday, and she did not know that he was in this serious relationship. And then when she found out, the crazy came out.
It's about to be never trust a Stephanie.
Never, ever trust a Stephanie or a Heffany. So Heffany started writing letters to John's mom, being like,
yuck.
Yeah. I mean, totally normal. Who doesn't write letters to your ex's mom? Okay. So a few months after she was writing all these letters, she decided she wanted one last rendezvous with John. She just wanted to just get it in one more time. Just one more time. Okay.
And John's going to fall for it.
She wanted a little bit of closure. She wanted a little bit of closure. But she went over and she actually found out, because she like literally goes over to where John lives. And that's when she finds out that John is now engaged to Sherry.
Oh, it's going to make it even worse.
And this made Heffany, this made Heffany want John even more.
Yes.
Avi. So she just started popping up over at their little condo apartment at all and any time. She just thought,
she doing? Bringing cookies?
Thought she was going to be their best friends.
Oh. She wanted to.
And Sherry was like, ma'am, I'm going to need you to stop popping up over here unannounced. And she knew that they had dated in college or had a thing in college. And she was just like, this is very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So Sherry and John end up getting married in 1985. But, I mean, marriage, what is it? It's just a bump in the road for Heffany. Like, it means nothing. She's like, I don't care. I'm still going to, she's still going to stop by. She even stopped by Sherry's work.
Oh.
To tell her that things are not over between me and John.
I thought she was going to bring her some Tiff Streets or something.
Well, that would have been nice, because Tiff is also a crazy name and a red flag. So she wanted to let Sherry know that if she couldn't have John, nobody could have John.
Those are the magic words.
Yeah. And so Sherry was like, okay, bye, and let her have John. Just kidding. That did not happen. Sherry was like, she called her parents. She was like, this crazy person, Heffany, has been coming to my work, and I feel like that I'm dealing with the crazy person, which she was.
Who would have called in that minute? Would you have called your mom? I think I would have called mom. I'd have called my best friend and my mom.
I would probably call 14 different people.
And then I would have Marco Polo'd you.
And I would have watched it 3 months later. I'm like, snap me. Don't Marco Polo me.
I'll start snapping.
Please.
Okay.
Yes. So Sherry's like, I'm dealing with this crazy person. And she even told her parents that she thought Heffany was out to get her. And she thought that she was being followed by Heffany. Because one day she even was like, came out of her apartment or condo, whatever. Sherry did. Mm-hmm. Sherry came out the apartment and just saw Heffany just standing there in her police uniform watching.
Like Michael Myers stands at the end of the block.
Yes. And she was like, this bitch is literally stalking me. So February 24th, 1986. They've been married for about a year now, okay? John leaves the condo. He's going to work. Sherry was going to go to work, and then she ended up calling in sick, and she didn't go to work that day.
I got something better to do.
Yeah. So around 9:45, a neighbor noticed that their garage door was open and that Sherry's BMW that she got from John as a wedding gift was not in the garage. Okay. So the neighbor's like, oh, not in the garage. But she didn't say anything because she's like, I don't really think anything of it. Just like, I just noticed it.
She might have went to Target.
Yeah. And she forgot to close the garage. Okay.
Okay.
So John and Sherry, sister, had called her throughout the day, getting no answers. So they're like calling, like, well, ma'am, where are you? And then around the middle of the day, a maid working at a apartment close by heard what she thought was two people fighting, and she thought it was just a little domestic spat. Like, she didn't hear any like gunshots or anything like that. She just was like,
it's not my business.
I mean, it's not my business. I'm gonna keep my nose out of it. And she didn't file a report. She just thought it was like just a little fight amongst domestic people.
Yeah.
Whatever. So when John gets home from work, he goes into the condo and he finds Sherry dead on the floor. She had been shot 3 times. The apartment was a whole hot mess. Broken vases, tables turned over, bloody handprints, all the things. She had been shot through a quilt in order to muffle
the sound.
That's why the maid from the nearby apartment didn't even know there was gunshots.
Oh.
So Sherry put up a struggle. She fought back. There was defensive wounds on her. So she was like, not just like letting it go. So someone had attempted to bind her. That's what they say. Like, it looked like she had attempted to be bound. And she had bruises on her face. She also had a bite mark on her arm. Ma'am. So it's like somebody tried to take a chomp out of her. I don't know. Maybe she was probably like grabbing the murderer and just like, so that's why she had a bite mark. Right?
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She got desperate. Sherry got desperate.
Yes. So it seemed like she had been surprised at home because she was just like wearing her like PJs or whatever.
And she was in a robe and she was making her coffee.
Yes. So someone had broken in to steal. This is what they think. Someone had broken in to steal this some electronic equipment because there was a stack of it. Like, it was like a bunch of things were stacked up close by like the door or by Sherry's body. So they're like, oh, this looks like Sherry got surprised and there was a struggle, and then the person killed her, and they like quickly they made a speedy exit. That's why they stole the car, left the garage door open, and escaped because they were like, there wasn't much that was missing. So they think that maybe the person who was going to do, basically they were saying somebody went in to rob the place, got surprised by Sherry being there, ended up shooting her, didn't steal anything because they didn't think that the person was in the apartment.
Yes.
This
got
is what,
startled.
Yes. So the BMW was found, her car that was missing was found 2 miles away, but it was found took him 10 days to find the car 2 miles away.
Bitch was like, I'm going to drive this around. This should have been mine, BMW. She probably had to enjoy it for a little bit.
The BMW gave them no leads at all.
She cleaned it out.
The only other thing that was missing from the condo apartment was John and Sherry's
wedding picture.
marriage license.
Which he's going to need to show that for life insurance.
Who steals a marriage license?
Somebody who's pissed off that y'all are married.
Okay. The lead detective first obviously looks into John, because you always look into the spouse, obviously.
Until you find out the marriage license is
quickly
missing.
Ruled out that John was quickly ruled out because obviously he was at work. He was like,
where do you keep your marriage license?
I don't know.
How did she must have forced her to show her where it is and then killed her. I don't even know where mine is.
Is it printed out? I don't even know if I ever had one. I was married for like a 30 seconds. So it's probably I never had one.
I was married in, not the Caymans. You were married in Caymans. I was married in the Bahamas, so neither one of us are probably really married.
I probably am like actually still married. Like that's probably great. So
we were really married.
We were never really married. Anyway, John ends up moving away soon after, blah, blah, blah. There had also been a few other burglaries in the area. And so a few days after the murder, 2 men, this reminds me of like in Sherry Papini, 2 men had robbed a woman at gunpoint. And a few months later, after the murder, the same 2 men held another woman at gunpoint. And it was said that they were described as 2 Latinos between 5'4" and 5'6".
That's about the size of a Latina.
But like
Latinas.
Sherry Papini, she like faked it. It was like 2 lesbian Latinos who kidnapped her when she really just ran away. So there was other like these burglaries were going on nearby. So they were kind of like, oh, this is obviously it must have been these people who did it. So now let's find these Latinos because they could be the primary suspects in this Sherry's death.
Yeah,
Obviously. But they never found the Latinos. The Latinos were probably back in Latina or whatever. So one of the suspects was carrying a gun that was the same caliber that was used to kill Sherry, so it seemed to match up. But Sherry's parents were telling detectives, they're like, no, bro, she told us, she warned us that there was some crazy lady
now I got confused. Because you went to Sherry Papini and then I talking about Sherry. But who said there's Latinas there? Is it the Sherry Papini or the Sherry?
Oh, shit. I forgot that was the same name. Okay, so there had been recent burglaries nearby.
Uh-huh.
People had identified the people who were doing the burglaries as these 2 Latino people.
Okay.
They apparently, one of them had a gun, or I guess like a bullet, because maybe they like shot at somebody else. So then they had this, it was the matching gun, bullet, whatever. It matched the bullet that was used to kill Sherry, which was used in these robberies.
Okay.
So then they are like, for sure, they are top suspects.
Okay, got it.
Well, then Sherry's parents are like, no, it's not of these Latino people. It was some woman who was stalking her. And they try to tell the police, they're like, before she was really more than she had mentioned even her name. Like, so Sherry told her parents that Stephanie is this person who has been like crazy Stephanie. And like coming up to your door and watching her from outside and all these things. And so she was like, the parents were telling the police that this person was intimidating and just harassing her and stalking her.
So why didn't John do anything about this?
Because he done moved away. I don't know. Oh, I do know.
Okay. It's coming.
It's coming. Yes. So detectives made a note about it, but they quickly dismissed it because guess what? She's fucking LAPD. She's a police officer. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So even after another detective pointed out the bite marks, because apparently only females are the ones that are mainly doing the biting. Okay. I don't know who bites, who doesn't bite.
Yeah.
But according to the story, only women bite.
I mean, Ted Bundy and David Wayne Spence bite.
Dahmer bit, and he like ate. So
and he bit, chewed, and swallowed. Does that count?
Did all the things. So time was passing. Police kept their line of thinking that this is a burglary gone wrong. And remember, this is in LA in the 1980s. They had bigger things to worry about, like every single other thing that was going on with the race stuff and the what's his face.
That was Rodney King. I thought that was 90s.
Well, I think it was 80s because that's what this article had said.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Parents they just weren't having it. The fact that someone, they basically were like, the fact that this gunshot was masked with a blanket and there was a struggle, like this was not just a burglary. This was a deliberate murder is what the parents were thinking. So several years go by. Parents are fighting for like to get somebody to look into the case. They do press conferences. They have a cash reward that's put out. They offered to pay for DNA testing. Like they're just doing all the things. And the investigators told the parents that they were watching too much TV.
Was that a little bit of gaslighting?
At one point, they even told the parents, you should do yourselves a favor and move on with your lives.
And move on from your daughter getting killed.
Sir!
By one of your sisters
LA's
in blue.
finest. Ugh. So, at the time of the murder, Stephanie was having a very successful career. She was rising in the ranks. She eventually became a detective, and she was just like admired and well respected and thought of highly.
Was she pretty?
No.
She didn't have that going for her.
Yeah, look her up. It's real bad. Oh, actually, it's part of the interview. I'll show you how she's like the worst. So her record was unblemished. Blemish free, if you will.
Except for she's a murderer. And 100% obsessive and crazy.
She's crazier and crazy. She's all of the above. Then she even started her own private investigation company.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So she's basically the GOAT. Okay. So it was a couple years later, 18 years to be exact, that in 2004, LAPD criminalist Jennifer Butterworth decided to take a look into the case. And she began examining all the forensic and all the things. And she was starting to investigate the cold case of Sherry. And she found that at the crime scene, there was a saliva from a suspect, and this matched to an unknown female.
Oh, maybe there wasn't DNA back then.
Correct.
Okay.
I think things were up. Stuff was updated. DNA.
What year are we
the
in
forensics, 2004.
Okay.
So she continued digging into all this, everything. She looked at the report that the Sherry's parents gave and all that they were saying about the woman stalking her and all these stuff. So she put the pieces together pretty quickly and started kind of talking about it to other people in the office or the crime unit or whatever. And so once they found out that she started asking questions and was like digging into this case, they were like, nope, no thanks, goodbye. Close the case, leave it alone, be gone. Oh. And she got sent to another department.
Oh, did she move to West and they didn't welcome her?
Maybe. Jacques Semas. And they basically told her not to look into the case, and she gone.
So they've known it. They just don't want to let it happen. They are backing the blue.
Then in 2009, the case was given over to a fresh pair of eyes.
Not Jennifer Butterworth.
Not Jennifer Butterworth, but Jim Nuttall.
Oh, they're going to let a man solve it.
And Pete Barba. So we got two guys, Jim and Pete. They started from scratch. They started with the burglary theory, and their first thought was that the attempted robbery was staged, and they knew their suspect was female, and on this list was good old Stephanie on their list of people. They ruled everybody else out, and they only had Stephanie left. So she had recently started working, or not recently, she had been currently working on art theft cases, okay? Stolen art forgeries. I mean,
ma'am, that's not even important.
No, it's really not. And so the detectives eliminated all the other suspects due to this DNA testing, and Stephanie was the only one left. They start digging into her, and they discovered that she had reported her backup gun stolen, but she did not report it to her own police department. She reported it to Santa Monica Police Department, which is a completely different police department. And she did this because she didn't want people to know
that her gun was missing.
Yeah.
And she was a suspect.
And they also found out that she was off that day. Yeah. And that Sherry was off that day and would know enough about a crime scene to make it look like something it wasn't.
Yep.
So they put her under surveillance, like secret
Secretly,
surveillance. Secret
yes.
surveillance. It took about 2 weeks, but once she finally took a sip out of that straw and threw it in the trash can, they done snatched it up.
Just like on the movies.
Yes. It's like, it's the crime scene. What is it called? Detective? Some kind of detective. Anyway, I digress. That has nothing to do with anything.
Well, once it's in the trash, it's just like community property, I guess.
Yeah.
So they can take that DNA.
True detective. Okay. So they snatched that shit up real quick. So due to her being an armed officer, they had to be careful on how they
run it.
Yes. On how they,
And CODIS.
they needed to like get her in for questioning. But they needed to be careful how they lured her in to question her because they needed to make sure she was not armed and like try to like shoot him or something. So they lured her into the department headquarters under the guise of somebody had stolen some art or some shit. And so they needed to talk to her about the stolen
art. We got a Picasso painting missing. Can you come down to the office? Yes. Did she get married or anything? She's still single and dreaming about John.
Oh, just wait.
She's with John.
No.
That would be great.
So they ended up getting her there to interrogate her, and this is how they got her to surrender her gun. So she's in the interrogation room, and she surrendered her gun, so she's like not a threat. So they quickly discovered that there was no one there was supposed to talk to. She quickly realized there was no art thievery situation.
Sorry, no Picasso painting.
She was like, bitch, I'm being hoodwinked.
Yeah,
you is.
Yes.
And they just slowly eventually mention Sherry Rasmussen. And this is, I'm just going to play a couple of minutes of this interrogation video. Hang on. I got to get it to the right spot. Oh, this is it. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. I forgot.
Yeah. Get your headphones on, woman. Okay. This is great.
Or not.
Okay. Now, what we'd like to do is, obviously, you know about all the DNA stuff, and the nature that, gets done on cases nowadays. If we asked you for a DNA swab, would you be willing to give us one?
Maybe. Because now I'm thinking I probably need to talk to a lawyer.
Okay.
I mean,
well,
because I know how this stuff works. Okay, don't get me wrong. You're right. I have been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
And I wish I had been recording this because now it sounds like there's. You're selling these people say I'm fighting with her, and now it sounds like you're trying to, I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, we know.
Okay, and now it almost sounds like you're trying to pin something on me.
No,
now I got that sense.
Well, what it gets to on these cases, and you know it as well as I do, our job is to identify and eliminate suspects.
I can't believe this.
So if we ask you to the point to give us a DNA sample, a buccal swab, so we can
look at her eyes,
identify or eliminate you, would you be willing to do that?
Maybe. Because I know this,
well, that's where we're at too. I mean, because right now, from looking at the evidence, it's possible we may have some DNA at the location.
That's great.
And we're going to do what we can to try to put this thing together. And your name's in the book. These people are pointing at you for whatever reason.
I don't know why. That's just crazy. I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
And it would be irresponsible on our part not to look at it.
I know. You guys have to do your job, and I guess I'm gonna have to contact somebody. So.
That's fair.
I mean, because I know how this stuff works. I mean, I just can't believe it.
We understand that. I mean, if we were in your position, we would feel the same way.
I just can't even believe it. I mean, it's just. I'm shocked. I'm really shocked.
She's so shocked.
Saying that I did this. I mean, we had a fight, and so I went and killed her. I mean, come on.
Well,
I don't think she's been laid since.
Just wait. I have a little bit more.
She's got some good cheekbones.
She does have nice cheekbones, but she's real
It's crazy.
Have a seat, Stephanie.
This is insane.
Okay.
And then she gets arrested. This is crazy. This is crazy. Read to the rights. Read to the rights.
Okay. Stephanie, you know you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Yes.
Anything you say may be used against you in court. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have the right to the presence of an attorney before and during any questioning. Do you understand?
Yes.
Get that smug
You cannot
look.
afford an attorney.
She's
One will be
smiling while
appointed for
she
you free of
sings.
charge before any
Yes.
questioning if you want. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you want to talk to us right now?
No.
Okay.
Crazy. This is I'm like in shock. I'm totally in shock.
Yeah, bitch, because you just got busted after 20 years.
Okay.
So after they request this DNA sample, she's like throws up the deuces and she like goes out the door and then they arrest her.
Okay.
And after her arrest, she was allowed to retire early from the LAPD.
Allowed.
She was held in the LA County Jail. Bail was set
In her own.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that wild? And then bail was set at $10 million cash.
Mm.
The reason was because she was a
10 million?
yes, because she was a flight risk, and they did not want her. Well, also she could get weapons, and also her husband's a police officer. Her husband.
Oh.
So she did get married to a police officer. And while these detectives were doing their cold case, like when they started to reopen the case, they were literally across the hall from where her husband was from his office.
They had to be real secretive.
They did.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
It took an outsider to come in
Yes.
and chop this shit up.
yeah, and
Love
not be a female like Jennifer Butterworth or whatever. her
She
name
was
is.
too nice about it.
Yeah.
She was too open about it. She should have just been
She
quiet.
didn't know. She's just like, I was just trying to do my thing.
Yeah.
And you just know. So her trial, homegirl, Heffany's trial begins in 2012. Prosecutors say that her motive for killing Sherry was pure jealousy. Duh.
Yeah.
In his opening argument, lead prosecutor summed up the case as a bite. Is she bitter? A bite, a bullet, and a gun barrel, and a broken heart. A bite, a bullet, a gun barrel, and a broken heart. That's the evidence they'll prove to you that the defendant, Stephanie Lazarus, murdered Sherry Rasmussen.
Musin.
I have speech impediments coming out. So several times throughout the trial, Dirty John, got emotional.
Oh.
And he admitted to having sex with Heffany while he was engaged.
That one last time.
Yes. And he also had sex with her after the murder.
Oh.
He didn't know she killed her. He just still had sex with her after the murder.
After the murder?
After the murder!
You said the marriage.
No, while they were engaged, he had sex with Heffany. And then he also admitted to having sex with Heffany after the murder.
Oh my God.
I'm sure she came around to like console him and all the
And it happened.
and did it and was like,
Oh,
I killed.
Jezebel.
Yes, this bitch, please. So the defense had just attacked the evidence, saying that it was that there was too much time had passed and that the evidence is tainted and it's downgraded and blah, blah, blah. And that the police never identified her as a suspect because they actually didn't have her name written down or something like that. Like, whatever.
No.
Yeah. And they said that all the evidence was just circumstantial. Prosecutors said in a statement that Stephanie Heffany misused her police training in the most profound way imaginable by utilizing that training and experience to commit murder and to cover up her crime.
Oh my goodness.
They
I'm still
said-
thinking about him having sex with her after the murder. You were having sex with a person who killed your wife.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they didn't try to make him part of it, but I guess he was genuine enough.
Yeah, I guess he
Shit.
was. Yeah. And then They also said that she betrayed the trust put on the LAPD. LAPD, come on now. Shout out California people. And that basically she was basically selfish, and she did all this because she was just jealous. I mean, that's what it was. 52-year-old Stephanie Lazarus, I can't, it's the whole thing. She was convicted. She was found guilty of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to 27 years in prison, and she will be eligible for parole in 2034. They actually just... Okay, I read another article that she came up for parole. Maybe it was 2024, because that's now. And she was now. Anyways, the one that she most recently came up for, she was denied.
Okay.
Because they were like, you were basically free for like over 20 years. So you do not need to be paroled. You need to serve your time, bitch.
Yes.
So do it. There were 2 lawsuits that were filed after the trial. One was by the parents who had suspicions about Stephanie from the beginning, and another one was by Jennifer Buttlesworth. She's suing, and she claimed harassment because she's the one that found the female DNA that was linked to her. However, both lawsuits did not progress, suggesting that Stephanie might have had access to manipulate evidence against her while working at the LAPD.
She should have got rid of everything then.
I know. I think maybe these cold case files were hidden in some like secret cabinet or something. She couldn't have access.
She couldn't get it. Or it would be documented, because you have to like sign, or on Law and Order, you have to go in, show your badge, sign it out.
But you know what? They don't do that shit in Boston. They don't do that shit in Canton. Nope.
No.
They do it a different way there.
They're all crooked.
And let me tell you, something is still playing. Let me tell you, you got to go listen to this whole interview with her when she's being interrogated, because it is a whole hot mess. It was like an hour, so I couldn't play the whole thing.
She was up for parole in 2024. I just saw it.
Okay, then it was denied.
Yeah.
I must have had a 3 instead of a 2 on the 2034, because I was like, wait.
Well, she'll probably have to do the next however many years.
Yeah. And I hope that she does, because...
All of it, because you're supposed to be a trusted person. You took advantage of your badge, of your uniform, of
John? Poor John!
John's horniness and loneliness and sadness. And
she just wanted to give him a BJ one last time.
Not Sherry. What's the victim's name? Damn it.
Sherry. It is Sherry.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Sherry Rasmussen.
And of sweet Sherry's,
she was
awesomeness,
cute
because she was the one. They got the BMW, they got the ring, they got the house, they got it all.
All that Stephanie was good for was
head
giving a BJ.
Funny.
Head funny. You're only good for the head. Okay.
Oh, and then in the end, that's all he still used her for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, literally. And
so you did all that, and your place was still the same. You were a warm place to put it before.
Mm-hmm.
You're a warm place to put it after you killed the wife.
Yeah.
And now you're in prison.
And now...
And you're going to have to put on a strap-on. She got a little lesbian look to you.
Oh, she for sure does. She has a mullet, and she definitely is... She's probably flipping sides for sure. Like this bitch is horny. She can't go without.
Yeah.
Avi.
Yeah.
So either she's banging the guards, which is likely.
Yeah.
She's probably blowing them, or she's blowing the inmates or whatever you do to them.
Yeah. Well, maybe one of them will break them out like
I'm sure they could sneak
Guard
some.
White did to Casey White, and they'll have a rendezvous.
I wouldn't
on the run.
Put it past her.
Love on the run.
I feel like she's capable of love on the run.
All right. Well, good story. You find the most random ones.
I know.
I think your
I either
last
do, like,
7, I've never even.
Yeah, but I did a
Heard
serial
of.
killer the one time who was Richard Chase, and he was the Vampire Sacramento.
I know.
He's a big deal.
I know, but I'm just saying your
I
last
do,
7 I
I
haven't
do.
even like
I
heard
know,
of.
I
Like
know.
you're looking in good places for these stories, which is good.
Yeah, I like to bring other people all the things they've never heard of.
Nice.
Or the ones that are like they very much have heard of. Like, when are we going to do Scott Peterson and the Menendez brothers and Chris Watts?
I have been listening to Darlie. So if my next maybe familiar case is either going to be Darlie or JonBenet or Chris Watts. It just takes it takes. You have to handle them with care. I feel like those big cases.
I know.
And some of these other ones, we
I
can kind of
think
just
some of them, the big ones, we need to make 2 parts.
maybe.
That way we're not squishing it into an episode.
Yeah. It's even harder. It stresses me out even
That's
more.
what she said.
Ah.
There you go. Never trust a Stephanie.
Never trust a Stephanie. Good story. Or maybe never even trust the LAPD.
I probably wouldn't either.
Don't forget to
Stay aware.
stay alive.
And always be DTF.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
This has been a Rogue Media Network